one diamond past a ruby.
Show off. Hit it.
How many times my mama used to say to me, Jimmy, if you just hush up and listen, you might learn something. Well, by George, I hushed up and listened to you people, and you said you wanted Jimmy Dean sausage and the 1 and 2 pound roll. Well, by golly, you got it. Yes, sir, Jimmy Dean sausage is in all your stores now in the 1 and 2 pound roll. Same high quality that you've always known with Jimmy Dean sausage, except now that it's just bigger and better. Jimmy Dean sausage, it's kind of like going back home.
Oh,
That was beautiful.
thank you. It really, it exudes kind of a warmth, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
You know, that commercial, that is the truth. I was making a picture in London, and I came back, and my brother and this other guy who used to be, part of
These
the
are the
company,
ones you bought out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said, well, we went to the 3/4 pound package. And I said, huh? And to me, it smacked of a ripoff.
Yeah.
Trying to say to the housewife, well, this is 3/4 of a pound, but we want you to think it's a pound. And you don't fool that lady.
What is it? That's 12 ounces?
Yeah, 12 ounces. And then people started saying we want it in the pound package. So as soon as I took over, I put it back in the pound and the 2 pound. And that's what it is, and that's all there is to it, and we ain't trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, because I don't work like that.
But you know, that annoys me, because I do all the food shopping in my house, and I'll see the same product on the thing, and one will be appreciably lower, okay? 3
Yeah.
competing brands,
Yeah.
and you pick it up, and then you may get it home before you notice on the package
Yeah.
that this isn't a full pound, the other
Yeah.
ones are. That's
Well-
confusing, and it is a ripoff.
Well, it smacked to me of a rip-off,
Yeah.
and as soon as I took over the company, I said, get out the 1 pound film. We're going to make 1 pound sausage again, 1 and 2 pounds. So it's there. It's priced as we have to price it because of the cost of the live weight of the animal, and in all probability you'll find that Jimmy Dean sausage costs a little more, but there's an old saying, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And it's the finest quality pork sausage that's made.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah.
Boy, you look dumb.
Boy, that really smacks of sincerity.
Well, it is sincere.
Gets you right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you...
I never eat the stuff myself, but I think that for the 2 or 3 people listening who once or twice a year might like to have a little pork sausage around the house, be a good idea to go buy that 3/4 pound package of Jimmy D. Did you say it's in the 3/4 pound package?
No, it's in a pound.
Pound,
And
yeah.
2 pound.
2 pounds.
How much you charge to haunt a house?
I'm going to tell you about...
Did your mother ever have any kids that
None
lived?
that survived the big flood.
I
No,
can
no.
understand that.
Let me
yeah.
tell you about Frontier
He had to
Airlines.
scrape you off of a wall somewhere, didn't he? I've flown Frontier Airlines.
Have you?
Yeah.
Good food, isn't it?
Huh?
Shut up. Best food in the air on Frontier
What?
Airlines, and first class legroom in every seat. But I'm going to tell you
Wiley
something.
Post.
You don't have first class
Flew
legs, so it
with-
doesn't make a damn bit of difference to you.
I don't- so
With them knobby knees, you could sit out in the aisle. Wouldn't make any difference.
Oh, I do on Frontier.
Frontier Airlines has first
That's
class.
where they put me, right?
Put you right out in the
yeah.
aisle.
mhm.
There.
They flew in the John the last time.
That's right.
against the rule.
Got a reservation here for Oink Dean.
Yeah, I got a reservation too about you too.
Frontier Air. Will you let me finish this?
Yes, you have been
These
finished.
people, this is a
The word is
sponsor.
out.
This is not fool around
I know
time.
there's money.
These people, this counts.
Oh, they're finer than snuff and not half as dusty.
That's right.
You bet you.
The Saturday
World's
special.
largest non-scheduled airline.
It is too
Huh?
scheduled.
It is?
The
Good.
Saturday special.
Frontier we're talking about.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Save you money when you fly to Las Vegas. You can actually fly a round trip to Las Vegas
Well,
and
kiss
include.
my... Huh?
What'd you say?
Kiss my jump in the creek.
Yes.
Is that, fly to Vegas.
Fly to Vegas.
Yeah.
Get your hotel room included for less than it costs to fly.
But they put the hotel room on the airplane?
No, you do that when you get there.
To do what?
Bride and groom in every room.
Ah.
That's right. Find out about the Saturday special from your travel agent, and remember, Frontier serves the greatest food in the air.
And tell them you heard about it on a friendly old Jack and Jim show.
That's right. Tell them Jimmy Dean sent you.
Huh?
Huh?
I didn't send you.
I hope not.
No.
I really
You
don't
did.
know why you interrupt when I'm talking about important stuff.
Well, I realize that, and I do apologize.
I hope so.
Not with any degree of sincerity.
Well, I think you should save that all for those crummy commercials that you do for that company that makes those.
R.B. Rice.
No, I was thinking about Edwards whole hog pork sausage myself.
Boy, you liver lip.
I know the names of all your competitors. They all sent me a big, beautiful Christmas present.
Well,
I didn't even get a card from you.
I wouldn't give you
Telephone
the
didn't
sweat
even
off
ring
my
on
glasses.
Christmas. I beg your pardon. You changed that. Hey, I want one thing now.
What is it, Ray?
I'll let you rant
It's nice
on
to
and
be at
on
the
about
service,
that
yes.
inferior dog food, that stuff that you're talking about before. Did I interrupt you?
Cut me to the quick.
Did I let you do
you
a
know
whole
how it is
sausage?
sitting here with your quick cut?
I didn't even know you were Jewish. Now, will you let me finish this? I want to tell you about a food product at the store that is so terrific. I don't think you have it where you live.
What's
New
it called?
Jersey. Well, back in 1975, Joe Gephardt.
Oh, Joe!
You don't know him.
Huh? Well, I thought I did. I was going to act like I did.
Oh, well, let's do
We'd
it.
have really put this over if you hadn't opened your big mouth.
Back in 1975, Joe Gephardt,
Oh, Joe.
yeah,
Yeah.
won the world champion chili cook-off contest.
Well, I'll be Really?
And if we took a vote on it, I think 9 out of 10 would
I
agree
love
that-
chili. Don't you like
Will
chili?
you let me tell you about this?
I like chili, and I didn't know even Joe was into it.
Joe, he's into it, all right.
All right.
He's working with the Millnot people. They have their own kitchen.
Working with who?
Millnot.
Oh,
That's
Joe's working with the Millnots. Well, kiss my Millnot. Oh, Joe.
They're making some of the most delicious canned chili you've ever tasted in your life.
What do they call
Over in
it?
Litchfield.
Joe's Millnot.
No. They call
Spaghetti.
it Chili Man Chili.
Who?
Chili Man Chili.
Chili, man.
If you'd pay attention.
Boy, that is really a dumb name, isn't
Oh,
it?
boy, that's good chili.
But
You
it's
like
a dumb name.
This is the best canned chili you ever tasted.
But chili, man, chili is a dumb name to call chili, don't
Chili
you think?
Man, like that. C-H-I.
Oh, now it makes sense. Now
Chili
that
Man.
Huh? It's still dumb.
Chili Man chili made with USDA inspected
Is
beef.
it good?
No pork in there.
Huh?
No
Oh,
byproducts.
they blew it thin.
Just pure
they
beef.
just ripped their drawers with me. I loved it until you said that.
Delicious, tender little beans. You've never tasted a
I
better
love chili.
canned chili than Chili Man chili. This is the
wouldn't-
man
wouldn't-
won the contest.
That
What?
they wouldn't mind if you diced a little onion and put in there with that. would
Doesn't need it.
they? That's what I want to do with it, and I'm going to buy some, and I'm going to do that with it. If I'll sneak it into the kitchen, they'll never know. I'm going to dice a little onion and put that in there. Then I'm going to get me some Fritos and a cold beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever
And
put
I'm
sweet
gonna
pickle relish on it?
Uh-uh.
It's great with sweet pickle relish.
What? Chili?
Yeah.
You putting me on.
You get a big tamale, put it in a deep bowl, pour chili over the top, chopped onions on top of that, and sweet pickle relish, and soda crackers.
Hot dog.
terrific.
Doody-doody.
Haul it right to Bakersfield.
That'll
Pick
do
up
it.
your trailer
Yeah,
out and
I
back and go
guarantee
right
you.
to
And
Bakersfield.
circle 3 times and land.
Empty a subway car.
Hey, why don't you get me a job here? I just want to get out. I think I'm just going to quit everything and come back here and we'll do a show together.
Yeah, what do you do?
Huh? Well, I'm brilliant.
Yeah?
I'm a great second banana.
Yeah?
Yeah, and you're a pretty good first grapefruit.
Well, we got the categories right anyway.
You know, when it comes to buying,
we got another 30 seconds here, Jimmy. You're going to be here after the news? Are you going somewhere? What are you doing? I don't know. You never tell me what you're doing.
I don't know.
Is-
I'm sick of you.
What?
Well, I'll be here. Wait, what time
We
we
don't
got to
come
be
back.
back to hotel? All right, then I'm going to wait here, and we'll talk for a little bit, and then I will say goodbye right after that. But I do have an interview with a civil human being sometimes around 1 o'clock at my hotel. All right, sir?
Civil human being. I needed.
Yes, we have to...
Camel X St. Louis. I'll be back. It's not my fault. CB this morning, and we'll be departing in just a few minutes. And before he goes, I want to mention that the Mavrakis people have a marvelous, if you want to take back some marvelous candy, I mean the kind of candy you just can't buy in a lot of places. The Mavrakis candy, you'll see Mavrakis candy stores all over.
Could you spell that?
Mavrakis?
Yes.
No, it'll take the whole commercial time. If I Mavrakos, Mavrakis candy.
Okay, well, where do you get that?
At Mavrakis stores, and then they have milk chocolate, coconuts, caramels, creams, cherries, nuts, and all that, and you can
Oh,
buy them
boy.
at the bulk counter and decide what you want yourself.
Lord. Is
Make
that
up your
fine?
own little...
Is that fine?
you can buy a piece or you can buy 10 pounds.
Huh?
I'm sorry I said that. Make a Mavrakis stop today for sure. Mavrakis candies, a St. Louis favorite since 1907. Mavrakis candies say the sweetest things. Delicious. Well, James,
Yeah.
I asked you before, you didn't answer me.
Huh?
If during your extended stay here in St. Louis, you're here, I understand, for 3 days just paying off on the money-back guarantees.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That is very
You're
true.
going to have another chance to pop in the old radio station? or-
Did you want me to drop by?
Well, I was in hopes you'd say no, but I thought I'd throw it out there anyway and try and...
No, I'm not, Jack.
Coming in?
Yes,
Pays the same.
I thank you.
Second. Oh, come on back.
You really mean that?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
When would you like to come
huh?
in?
Sunday?
Sunday's good.
Yeah.
If I'm not here, start without me.
I will. I certainly will. Run off a batch there.
Could you come in again?
I think I'm going to try.
How long you going to be here?
Well, I'm going to be here through Friday.
We'll
And
see.
one way or the other, I will work in my very busy schedule.
Yeah. Hello there.
Huh? Oh.
Stay with it.
I'm going to...
You got to bring the presents by anyway. You might as well come on the show for a while.
I told you that after the remark you made prior to my arrival at this station that I am extremely doubtful if I will ever see you again, much less bring you a present of any kind, and I had something very nice that I was going to bring you, and as you well know, on numerous occasions, other than sausage, you have received things from me, not because I felt that I owed them to you, simply because of what I considered to be a friendship, and the remark you made about my product has proven that beyond any shadow of a doubt that there is not one sign of friendship anywhere in the whole damn thing. Where did I start on?
I want to ask you two questions.
Yes, sir.
Number one, what did I say that was so insulting before you got here?
You
And
said
number
something
two,
about my
number
rancid
two-
sausage.
Number two, how could I know that you had a radio?
We came in one of your cars.
Oh,
Did you know your station sent a car out to pick me up? That's how important I am,
you
Jack.
got to be kidding.
Would I lie to you?
No, it wasn't our
Are
station.
you kidding?
No.
It was fantastic. I got off that plane, and the band there to greet me.
R.B.
and
Rice
the car,
sent them. R.B. Rice sent the car to make sure you made it over here.
There's a bus leaving. Be under it. I'm going to be back again, Jack.
You promise.
I'm going to visit with you.
I
yes.
can't tell you what the visit today has meant to me.
Well, I can't tell
It'll
you
be
what
in the
it's meant to
X-rays,
me
probably.
either. I
You'll-
think so.
Started with
Listen,
these
I have got to
chestal
get back to
pains.
the hotel and try to recoup some semblance of my mind, which you have destroyed, which you do at all times.
I think your mind should match the rest of
I
your
am
ravaged
not
body.
going to say goodbye to you.
No.
Because I don't like goodbyes. Jack, you're a good friend. I enjoy visiting with you.
Listen,
And time permitting, I will come back and see you again either
I
tomorrow or
want
the
you to
next.
say something nice about your product, because it's true I did attack and vilify Jimmy Dean sausage. I'm going to give you, out of the goodness of my heart, about 11 seconds here to say something about Jimmy Dean sausage.
The only thing
Want you
that
to be
needs
careful in
be
your choice of words. 11 seconds, starting now. Try not to use a lot of adjectives, because I think people, I think people feel that that's a little. Just something sincere. You have about 8 seconds left. Just say
well,
something nice about Jimmy, and don't talk about gas, because I don't think that fits
no.
in a food. You have 4 seconds
If you,
left.
well,
Go ahead and tell them how much it costs and where you
No,
can buy.
if,
That's it, pal. That was it. You know what that was worth in cash right there, that free time I gave you? I wouldn't do that for just anybody.
I really am most appreciative, sir.
Nita Bryant came in here. I never let her once talk about orange juice.
About fruit? What?
Orange juice.
Was she in here?
But you can,
Yeah.
Hmm?
Listen, I'm
Should
going
have seen
to
her
leave
hair.
you
Nobody's done her
once
hair in
again
months.
with a famous quote from our great president, Abraham Lincoln,
Okay.
when he said, 4 some didn't.
Transcribed. It's nice.
It's picking time.
Dick Gephardt was here some weeks ago, and so much has happened in the interim. Internationally, so much has happened. The Anwar Sadat making his historic trip to Israel. That's exciting. That has to be exciting from your point of view.
Not only exciting, I think it's something that so many people waited for so long, and it means so much to the United States is the reason it's exciting.
Mhm.
Almost mind-boggling is the
Yep.
word everybody uses.
The president has said that he has had a minimal amount of effect here, that he has stayed out of this. And I know that Henry Kissinger in an interview said the wise thing for us to do is to stay completely out of this. Do you believe that? Is the United States completely out of this, or are we operating very much behind the scenes?
I think we're behind the scenes. The extent to which we did anything in this negotiation is unclear. I don't think you may ever find out, or at least for a long time find out what exactly happened. I think it has to be that way. We cannot be the participants in that negotiation. We can't decide for Israel or for the Arab countries what they want the structure of that agreement to be, if there can be one. I think we've got to be very low-key. I think we've got to let them be on the stage, let them act out this negotiation, and decide what they want for their country. We simply can't be them. As much as what they do is important to us, we've got to let them operate independently.
Are you concerned for Sadat's physical welfare? Are you concerned for his very life?
Oh, I think you have to be. The emotions, as you well know, as everybody knows, are so strong. The divisions and the emotions are so deep and have been there for so long. And when you have the number of terrorist groups that have been involved on both sides through the years, I think there's real concern for his physical well-being. It's all, I think, testimony to his courage, his political courage, and his human courage, that he would go there and do this, because he not only has put his political life on the line, he's done what many politicians are not willing to do, and that's put their real life on the line. And I just hope that his courage pays off with results in the next few weeks and months. I think the clock is running out in this particular period on whether we're going to have peace or not. If we don't get something tangible within the next 2 or 3 months, I think it could be time for another conflict, and this one could be worse than any of the others we've had.
What if they got to Sadat? What if something happened to him? Would that shoot the whole thing down, or do you think there are forces there in Egypt, for example, that would continue along the same tack?
Could go either way. If it were attributed to the Israelis somehow, I suppose it could cause another war. If, on the other hand, he became a martyr as a result of it, it might even contribute to the peace. I remember when John Kennedy was killed, a lot of the things that he had fought for in Congress, and he probably never would have gotten, Medicare, equal rights, the Civil Rights Bill, was passed, largely because of the feelings that were aroused as a result of that awful incident. So it could be that it could contribute to peace. Certainly, that's an unthinkable thought, something we shouldn't even say. I would hope that that wouldn't happen, and that the very force of what he's done would lead the parties to peace.
These are exciting times, though, to be alive, aren't they? Exciting things to see, things that had never happened before. Anwar Sadat shaking hands with Golda Meir, for example. Who would ever, have thought that they'd live to see that?
And a lot of it, I was thinking the other day, I think a lot of it can be attributed to advanced communications. The very fact that we have radio, and that we have television, that we have telephone communication, has put people in different countries in each other's living rooms. The Egyptian people feel like they know these Israeli leaders. You heard the news accounts where Egyptians watching their television and listening on radio say, "There's so-and-so," or "I just heard Golda Meir," someone they'd heard of all their lives. I think it's very important to all of this, and I think communications is having an increasing role in our ability to make peace, in our ability to understand one another, in our ability to communicate with one another. And I don't think we can underplay the fact that advanced technology is helping people live together better. And
it's an interesting thought.
I hope that they talked over the weekend about having Israeli and Egyptian television be opened up to one another, and radio. I think it's very important that happen, because then they'll have a better understanding of that nation, and I think would be more ready to reach a peace agreement if they have a better understanding and communication with another people.
Dick, something I wanted to tell you about, I didn't know if you had seen it, it just came in the mail. This is the, moving to things closer at home, this came in from the Opinion Research Division of Fleischman Hilliard. They did a telephone survey with 538 city and county residents here in the St. Louis area. And they call this the Missouri Poll, which measures and analyzes public opinion. And they do that in St. Louis and Kansas City, too. But the report said that 20% of the residents surveyed in late September and early October, this is St. Louis, 20% said they rate the St. Louis area as an excellent place to live, and another 50% rated the area as a good place to live. 60% feel that their fellow residents also rate the area as either excellent or good, according to the survey. And here are two of the questions in the survey. 1, overall, how would you rate the St. Louis area as a place to live compared to other metropolitan areas in the United States? 20% said excellent, 50% said good, 21% said poor, 4%, well, I've got that wrong. Excellent 20%, good 50%, fair 21%, poor 4%, and 5% said they don't know. Second question was, how do you think most of the people who live in the St. Louis area would rate it? And the answer was excellent 11%, good 50%, fair 25%, poor 3%, and don't know 11%. The people most apt to rate the quality of life in St. Louis as excellent or good are, however, white males over the age of 30 living in St. Louis County, making over $10,000 a year. That was another finding. Out of the total survey, 70% here rated life as excellent or good, and so on and so forth. But in the breakdown among the whites, 74% said the area was excellent or good, and 21% said fair, poor. Among blacks, 48% said the area was excellent or good, while 46% said the area was fair or poor. Predictably, according to the survey now, these groups, which in the aggregate are more likely to enjoy the good life, i.e. white county residents over 30 who have survived the dissatisfaction or disaffection of youth, higher income residents, and males, rate life in the area more positively than their opposites. I wanted you to see these, and I'm going to pass them on to you. I thought it was very, very interesting, and I wonder if other metropolitan areas would fare as well throughout the United States, or if indeed we do have something special here in St. Louis, a special way of life.
I'm not sure they would. I've always felt for a long time that we have a lot of attributes that other areas don't have. We have good, plentiful supply of water, and I don't think people recognize what a great attribute that is. In Washington, D.C., and in the suburbs around Washington, they have a constant problem with the supply of water. They're telling people not to use their water and to cut down and to sacrifice and ration. We don't have that here. We've got a plentiful supply of natural resources. While the East was worrying last winter about natural gas, we seem to have enough because we have a good gas company and because we're close to the supply and we have a place to store it around St. Louis. We have this river out here which is good for transportation, brings goods in and out. We have a city and a county that's of a size that you can deal with. If you live in New York, if you live in Washington, D.C., if you live in Philadelphia, you seem crushed all the time. You feel crushed by the amount of people, the traffic, the difficulty of going from one place to another. In St. Louis, you really don't have that, but you do here have the advantages of a big city. You've got a symphony orchestra, you've got the arts, you have a fine art museum, you have all of the advantages of the big city. I think that leads a lot of people to say that St. Louis is a good balance between small town, big town, gives me both of those good things of those two things that I want. And I think leads people to that kind of a conclusion. Obviously, if you're doing better, no matter where you are, if you're making money, you're going to feel pretty good about your situation. If you're poor, you're not going to feel too good if you're in the middle of paradise.
One thing, though, that doesn't come up too often that has occurred to me that's a definite asset here, and it came very close to home because I had a friend here from California. He'd never been to the Midwest before. He was here just over the weekend. He was amazed at how close everything is. In California, he lives in Marin County, north of San Francisco. Now, he considers himself a San Franciscan. He's 20 miles out of town. His friends who live down the peninsula consider themselves San Franciscans, too. But to visit them on a Sunday, he has to drive an hour and 15 minutes each way. And here, when I said, well, let's go to my mother's, and it took 8 minutes, and I want to take you to my office, and that took 10 minutes. He couldn't believe how centralized everything is here, how easy it is to get from one place to another quickly. I suppose Californians are accustomed to spending a lot of time in transportation, driving or whatever. New Yorkers certainly are with the trains and subways and so on. But we have that, too. Nothing is very far away, and that's a marvelous thing because time isn't wasted, and time is a very valuable commodity.
And it's going to be more and more important as gasoline goes up in price. People aren't not only not going to want to drive further, they're not going to be able to drive long distances to go places. It's going to change people's lives radically. St. Louis, I think, is in a good position to deal with that because things are close.
Well, we're going to continue with Congressman Dick Gephardt in just a minute, but since Bob Starr is here, you know Bob Starr, I'm sure.
Sure.
I saw him collecting garbage.
Oh, you had to bring that up.
That was your garbage.
No.
That was the mess.
That would not be a one-man job.
He told me that garbage men are very knowledgeable about
they know a lot of
people's
things.
lives.
That's true.
Know more about the residents than some of the residents do about themselves.
I bet when my garbage man comes by every Monday morning and picks up 8 or 10 empty champagne bottles and a few empty tins of beluga caviar and things like that, he wonders what goes on in the old
He
flat.
was telling me about your garbage.
He was? What did he say?
Can't tell you. It's classified.
Did he mention Bob Starr's garbage? Did he
Of course
find
not.
anything interesting there?
No, not a thing.
No.
Very dull garbage.
Yeah, you have very dull garbage, Bob.
Well, that goes along with my personality.
Dick missed that football game yesterday.
Very
that right?
dull.
How could he miss a game like that?
He was in Washington doing his job.
Oh, I bet he goes to the games out there.
Yeah.
All the Redskin fans were watching there, and they were very sad at the end. For a while, they thought they had something
Oh, yeah.
going.
I'm
and
sure they
then
did.
It fell apart. Very prejudiced.
Well, in 2
Washington.
weeks, we're going to be rooting for the Redskins, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm sorry to report.
Yeah.
We would have to, I suppose, as they play Dallas.
Yeah, we're
I find it very difficult to root for the Redskins, whatever the situation may be.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Yeah. Now, Dick has kind of split allegiance because he resides there and here. Have you ever transferred
not
your
true.
allegiance to the Redskins?
I have never and will never. I don't like them, and I wish them no good. And I hope they lose every game they play.
Preceding was a paid political announcement paid for the citizens for Gephardt Committee. What do you got, Robert?
Well, we have a little football coming up tonight. The Redskins and Walter Payton had a fair day's work yesterday. Carried the ball 40 times against the Minnesota Vikings and gained 275 yards.
It's an all-time record, isn't it?
No one has ever gained that much yardage in one game.
What's the closest to 275?
Oh, I think, what is it, O.J.? Probably. And it doesn't say what O.J.'s was.
273.
Was it 273?
Oh, it was
What I
that
heard.
close?
Mhm.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Payton had one of those kind of days, I guess, that are just incredible to watch, even though they only scored one touchdown.
How
But
do
he
you
was
think
all over the
How do you
place.
think he feels today?
Sore.
I doubt that he would have made an 8 o'clock workout this morning.
Now listen, my mother left today for Palm Springs. She's going to spend Thanksgiving basking in the California sun. And she asked me a question, and I said I would ask you. She will miss the Thanksgiving Day game. They have season tickets. She will catch the game after that.
Mhm.
And she said, those are the last two games.
Right?
And I said, yes. She said, isn't it possible that any other games will be played here this season? And I said, if we win the wild card slot,
No.
no, because the wild card team never plays at home. But is it mathematically possible that we will go into the playoffs not as the wild card and that one of the playoff games could be played here?
Only if we win the division championship.
Which means Dallas must...
Well, Dallas must lose another conference game,
Okay.
another division game. So they've lost only one division game,
Okay.
and that is to the Cardinals. The Cardinals, on the other hand, 2 of their 3 losses have come in the division, 1 to Washington and 1 to Dallas. They must lose another division game before that point thing comes in there, and we would have to wind up tied
But then
for the division championship.
we wouldn't tie with Dallas, though, because we beat Dallas, right?
Well, there would be a tie record-wise.
Okay.
Say we wind up 11-3, they wind up 11-3, and their other division loss is to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Then that point thing would come into play, where
I
we
see.
are, 1 point better than they are.
So it's really a long shot that we would have another game here this season.
It is a long shot, yes.
But not impossible.
Certainly not.
Certainly not.
They have to play Denver. They also have to play Washington again, as I say. The Cardinals, on the other hand, have to play Miami and Washington, and then the Giants, and who else? What's
Tampa
the
Bay.
Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Now, where's the Super Bowl going to be this year? I'm being a little premature, but I just wanted to...
New Orleans, I think.
Well, I don't know. I couldn't remember whether it was New Orleans or Miami.
Yeah, I believe it's New Orleans.
I think if they win, I'm going to...
If I'm wrong, Joe Solomon will call you.
Yeah. When we go to
Whether
the
I'm
Super
wrong or not, he still may call you.
I'm going to the Super Bowl.
Are you?
Oh, I'll sell my car. I'll sell my body. I'll do anything to go to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't let him go without me.
See, I would probably go to the Super Bowl only if I were working it.
You wouldn't go if the football Cardinals were there? and
Oh,
you-
yeah. If
Well,
I were working the game.
But if you weren't working the game, let's say that your political pull finally fell through and I got the football job, huh?
Well, you've been trying for all my jobs.
Yes.
You can have the one I just did, as a matter of fact.
I didn't want to say anything about that. Well, anyway, I wanted to clarify that. There's very little possibility, then, that there will be additional games
Well, it
played
is
here.
it's a possibility, but
Yeah.
Dallas would have to lose another division game and then remain tied. We'd have to keep winning and remain tied.
So if Dallas
Go on.
loses to Washington,
Now, if they lose more games than we do, obviously, we're going to win the division championship, and all that other garbage doesn't come into play.
so there would be a playoff game here.
You ought to get that. I should get that for you in the Cardinal brochure. There's that list of all the determining factors in deciding division championship in case of a tie. And you could probably perform a great service
By reading that.
by reading that. Not understanding it necessarily, just
Dick
reading
Gephardt is dealing every day in legislation in Washington, D.C. with billions of dollars.
Mhm.
Okay, it never gets disinvolved, does it?
No, it's always very simple.
The government is far simpler than the NFL, isn't it?
Oh, sure. But you know, there's great interest for
because
the
of the
fan.
people in government, I think, are far simpler than the people in present company excluded here in
Yeah.
Mr. Gephardt's case.
I'm glad you said that because I'm going for a cabinet post. I don't know.
Well, you heard what was one of the lines I used at the Joe Sullivan roast. I was needling him about 80% of the people he hires every year fail to do the job and can't make the team.
Yeah.
I said, no wonder he was such a big hit in Washington. That's the same ratio they have out there.
I wish I'd have been there. I could have defended it.
You'd have loved it. Star's the only one who remembers any of his comments from that evening. I didn't know what you were talking about.
Well, no, but you were unable to remember anything.
Oh, I was fine. Don't start that.
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up.
I was perfectly fine that night. I did tell Larry Roos how... No, that was at a different one. No, all these banquets blend into one long banquet. All right, well, Robert, thank you.
I'm going to
for-
get out of here and let you all continue to
I
talk.
wish you would, because we're talking about some heavy stuff.
I know. I heard you talking about transportation and
Yeah,
this kind of thing.
big, heavy things that you wouldn't understand, being
You
strict.
do run the gamut, though. Does Mr. Gephardt know who he has succeeded in these chairs in here? Jimmy Dean,
Jimmy Dean, the
Robert
sausage
Horton,
king, Robert Horton,
so on.
yeah, some of the biggies.
I will say one thing. You've dressed up the room considerably.
He's spippier,
Well,
but he doesn't sing or dance. I got to be honest with you.
With
He
him
hasn't
and
got-
Mr. Horton, I think that's fine and dandy. But Dean almost made a supermarket out of this place.
Yeah, he did teeter on the brink there a time or two. Sports Capsule brought to you by Friendly Bob. Congressman Gephardt was kind enough to come to our Flow Valley course the other night in communications and speak a little bit about communications and the electronic media as it affects politics and politicians today, and I don't intend to get into that, but one thing that he mentioned the other night, and it was one of the reasons I thought we ought to talk a little bit this morning, was what's been going on in the Social Security discussions and legislation, and the fact that Dick feels, I think, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but that many of us are not aware of where you stand and what your stand is, particularly in this, what did you call it, universal coverage?
Mm-hmm. The whole issue of whether or not public employees should be included under Social Security. We did make some certain changes.
Now, I have to ask a question or two, first of all. At this very moment, employees, you're talking about postmen, government employees. Now, is this federal employees or city, state, too?
At the present, no federal employee is under Social Security.
Okay.
And 30% only of local and state employees are not under Social Security. The other 70% are. The
This
law
means
today,
they make no contribution,
that's right.
and they derive no benefits.
While they're in the public employment, of course, they can have private employment before they work for the government or after, and thereby qualify for Social Security. But while they're employed by the government, they are not covered under Social Security. It's a quirk in the law that happened in 1934 or 5 when the law was written. Because they had retirement systems already in existence and most other people didn't, they were excluded from the system. And it's been that way ever since. It's been a subject that's been studied for years, and it finally came up to a head, I guess, in our last discussion. It was rejected by Congress. My view didn't prevail, and the view that they should stay out did prevail, but there's going to be a 2-year study to see if it can be worked out to bring them in.
And you want them in?
I want them in. I think it's either got to be mandatory or it's got to be optional. The thing that was totally misunderstood by the public employees was how we were talking about bringing them in. And the word that came back from their lobbyists in Washington was that we were going to put them in to take all the money out of their system and throw it into Social Security to shore up Social Security. It isn't what we were doing at all. In fact, what we were saying is let's leave all existing employees alone. Leave their plan alone. Let them go on just as they would have. Let's just put the new employees that are coming in into Social Security as well as a reduced private civil service retirement system, so that the new employees would be just like every other private employee in the United States. But there was tremendous misunderstanding. Lots of public employees still don't understand it and may never. And the only way you have of trying to clear that up is by talking on the radio or talking to groups. But even then, it's tough to get to everybody and make them understand what that complicated law said.
Mm-hmm. And there's a 2-year study. Does it require 2 years? I mean, good Lord, 2 years sounds to me like just a kind of a, well, let's wait until we're all elected again and then we'll fool around with it.
Well, there's a lot to that, I guess. There's a big desire, I guess, in Congress all the time to study things, to put off the hard ones that are going to cause you political trouble, because that puts you on top of the fence. You can say, no, we didn't reject it. It's still on the front burner. We're studying it, and we'll try to do it later. And then when you get to later, we can do another study. We've been studying that and a number of other things for a long, long time. I'm hoping that we can get away from this study complex we've got and get down to making decisions, because sooner or later you got to jump off the fence and say, this is what I believe in and this is what I want to have happen. It's 2 years because, frankly, in election years, not much gets done in Congress. I have found that people say between January and June of an election year you can do some things, but that's about it. So you really get a half a year out of election year, because the House runs every 2 years, and I guess that's the way it has to be. I wish we could do more and go longer, and I think we're moving in that direction.
Is there a separate Social Security fund per se, or does the money collected from our Social Security contributions go into the general fund?
There's a separate trust fund, and never has that fund been intruded into and the money taken out for another purpose.
Never.
Some people believe that the money was used for this, that, and the other thing. That's not true. The money's always been invested. Often it's invested in U.S. bonds and Treasury notes and earns interest, but it has never been used for another purpose. Now, we've added some things on the program that weren't there originally. We now have a disability insurance policy that everybody's covered by since 1955. And in 1965, we put Medicare on the program. So it's not strictly a retirement program. I wish it were. I'd like to take those two out and put them under general revenue. But the fund itself has never been misused or abused.
But what about the possibility of the fund being depleted? What about those of us who will end up working 50 years or 45 years and then having the government say, well, there's only $12 left in Social Security? Can that happen?
Well, we're about at that point, and that's why we had this bill this year to raise the taxes and reduce some of the benefits so the fund would have enough money in it. In 1980, the disability fund would be at the point where it wouldn't have enough money to fund out its obligations. In 1982, if we stay at the present level, the retirement fund will be in that position. But with the bill we passed this year, we're going to make that not true and put enough money in the fund that we're good for another 25 to 40 years, according to the actuaries. I'm hoping that this is not the last look at Social Security, and that within the next 2 years we can do some things like move Medicare and disability out of the payroll tax and return them to general revenue, which would make the fund good for 100 years, and might even allow us to lower the tax, something that politicians would like to do.
Is it true that the Social Security program from its inception in the year, what was it, 34, 35, would have fared far better if a private industry had handled it rather than government, if Metropolitan Life and General American Life and 4 or 5 other insurance companies had handled it? Would that have been better in the long run?
It may have. Congress has made some mistakes in the past, and I've pointed to 2 of them. I think putting disability and Medicare under the tax was a mistake. We raised the incoming benefit in 1972 to an intolerably high level, and that's helped deplete the funds. And I think you could say that a private manager might have made better decisions along the way. But it is a public, I underline public, retirement plan. It's not a private plan. And so the public, I think, has to make the decisions. If Congress made mistakes, then the people have to look to themselves for putting the wrong people in Congress who made those mistakes. I think the public forum, the Congress, has got to make these decisions. I think people have got to be more aware, and I think they're becoming more aware of what these decisions are. They've got to watch us closer, and they've got to make us make the right decisions for the system and for the American people. I sense on my subcommittee in Ways and Means, which is the Social Security subcommittee, a tremendous desire on the part of the people there to make the right decisions, even if those decisions are unpopular. Universal coverage was one of them. We voted for that almost unanimously in the committee. We lost on the floor, but we made our point and we're moving in that direction. We voted in the committee to hold down on what a retired person can earn and still get all of his benefits. There was a great push to take the cap off altogether. We held it at $6,000. So I think there's
What's the rationale to that, Dick? Let me preface that with, I pay X number of dollars Social Security benefits, as does everyone else. At age 65, I would feel that I'm entitled to my benefits. Why am I arbitrarily limited as to what I can make to qualify? Why can't I continue working and make $20,000 a year and still get full benefits? I paid for them.
Simply because the system does not have contributions strictly tied to what you get out. Your,
as a private
your
plan would.
As a private plan probably would. There are some generational and intra-generational transfers, welfare aspects to the plan. I think with a public retirement plan, some of that makes sense, although we've got too much of that in it in my book. But some of that makes sense. And until we can get some of those aspects, like Medicare, like disability, out of the plan, we can't afford to allow you to make a lot of money after 65 and still get your full benefit. I think theoretically what you're saying is absolutely correct, and I'd like to get the system to the point where we could afford to do what you say. Right now, it was not the time to take the cap off because of our financial problems. If we can get the system back to go again, get it back to, restructured back to what it was, then we can do what you say, which is to strictly relate contributions to benefits. That's the way it ought to be. It should be a retirement insurance program. If we make it that, if we return it to that, people will be willing to pay those taxes.
But nothing will happen during the 2-year study, is that it? Or are we just...
We're going to stand fast with what we've done, and we've made some tremendous improvements. What happened in '72 was an awful mistake. If let go, would have made the benefits in 1990 replace, as an entry benefit, replace 75% of average workers' earnings, so that if a guy was earning $10,000 in his private job, when he went into Social Security, he'd be making $7,500. That isn't what was envisioned with Social Security. We've pulled that down to a level replacement rate, what they call a replacement rate, to about 42%, from 46%, and it was going up the ladder. That's an important thing to do. We didn't have time, really, to go through the hard decisions like universal coverage, like getting disability and Medicare out, and it'll take us a year or two to get the votes together, to get the consensus together in that place, to make those changes, and I think we can do it. If we miss that opportunity in 2 years, we may never do it.
Well, Congressman Dick Gephardt is here, and we have run out of time, totally and completely, and I just want to say thank you, and I'm glad we got a few things clarified. I know you feel a little bit better about them, getting them out there, right?
Sure. Appreciate the
When do you go
opportunity.
back to Washington?
Wednesday afternoon. I'm going to go home and cut the turkey for the kids.
Yeah. Clarence has a little message he wants you to take back to George Allen when you get back to Washington. Clarence, would you give that to Congressman Gephardt for George Allen? Thank you very much.
I'll be sure to take it to him right away.
The Warehouse of Fixtures has some Christmas decorations.